are your thoughts on question 1? Who wants to volunteer? What are your guys' opinions on that? Obviously, we're going to talk about natural born versus native born today. We're going to understand the differences. But in your opinion, just based on what you know now, what do you think you are? Jeremy?
Natural born.
Natural born.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that you're both or just natural born?
Natural born.
Just natural born. Okay. And you were born in the U.S., I'm assuming? Okay. Yeah. All right, everyone. Natural born? Okay. Just natural born, not native born, right? Okay. Raise your hand if you think that you are either both or just native born. Okay. So you think that you're what? Native born. Okay. And you were obviously not born in the U.S., correct? Okay. Okay. We're going to understand those differences. And what's really great is that in every one of my government classes, I have at least one person who wasn't actually born in the U.S. So it's going to be pretty cool once we understand the differences, whether you're native, natural, both, or neither. So, okay. And remember, this is all coming from Article 2, Section 1 of your Constitutions. So I'm not going to make you guys pull out your pocket constitutions today. We've already looked at this section. The only thing we really didn't look at was the part right in the beginning here. This is like the very first paragraph in Section 2 where it says, no persons except a natural born citizen or citizen of the United States in general, at the time of the adoption of the Constitution shall be eligible to the President, the office of President. So, and then a factor in the Constitution to become president. I've never even heard that term before, natural born citizen. We don't really talk about it. We talk about U.S. citizens, we talk about applying for citizenship, but we never talk about, are you a natural born citizen or not? It's kind of undefined. So, I'm going to break down, these are the actual definitions. And the funny thing is, these are the definitions that we've just come up with as United States. I'm going to talk about what that means and why it's not defined in the Constitution, but these are just the definitions that we've adopted. So you guys would be smart to write this down somewhere in your notes. So this is a quick slideshow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through slides. Maybe you just want to write this down on the back of your note packet, maybe just on a separate sheet of paper, wherever you can have access to this, because something related to this question will be on a future test or quiz at some point to understand the difference between the two. So, however you want to write this information down. So let's kick it off with natural born. So the few of us who volunteered that were born in the U.S. think that you are natural born. Here's what it means. First off, it's often confused with native born. No one really understands what the difference of the two means. Natural born is either you were born in the U.S., so you can be born in the U.S. and be natural born, so you guys are right, but also it means if you were a child of at least one parent who is a United States citizen, that means you are natural born, regardless of where you're born at. So let's say you were, for example, born in Mexico. If you have one parent who is a U.S. citizen, you're considered natural born, whether that's your father or your mother. Doesn't matter where you were born. Natural born is if you were born in the U.S., no matter your parents, you're natural born. Or if you have a parent, one parent who's a citizen and you were born outside the U.S., you're natural born. So it can be both. So it's not only based on your location of birth. You can be born anywhere and you can still be natural born, as long as you have at least one parent who's a U.S. citizen. So if Gabby had a mother or father who was a U.S. citizen, even if she was born in Spain, were you born in Spain? Okay, so even if she was born in Spain, if she had a mother or a father who were U.S. citizens, she would be a natural born citizen, even though she was born in Spain. So when you guys answered and said that you were natural born, if you were born in the U.S., you guys were right. You are natural born. And here is native born. But you guys are also native born. You guys should have said both if you knew the definitions, which you're knowing them now, which is great. This is where you were born in the U.S., regardless of the citizenship of your parents. So this is what you hear about when immigration in Mexico is now a big thing. You can have two parents or maybe just a mother who comes to the U.S., whether it's legally or illegally, whatever the case may be, if they have a child born within the U.S., they're native born. That child is automatically a U.S. citizen because they were born on U.S. soil. Right, and that happens all the time. Yes?
So what happens if both of your parents are they are immigrants and they come over illegally,
Right.
and you're born in the U.S. and so you're a legal citizen? Are you and your parents get sent back? Like, say you get sent back to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get sent back to Mexico, or do you like become a false citizen?
So that dilemma is a serious one, first off. That dilemma is the issue that we're having right now in our country. Because we don't know how to best solve that issue. Because it's happening more often and more often. You're having illegal immigrants coming over, having children, but then we have the question mark of we don't know exactly what to do with these children because their parents are going to be sent back. We can't leave, potentially an infant without their parents. But if they're U.S. citizens, do they have the right to be here? And oftentimes those parents, they may want to leave that child in America, whether they're going to be their parents or not. Or sometimes they want to say, well, just because we're illegal doesn't mean you can take me away from my child, and if my child is a citizen, I can stay here with my child. So they want to stay in America that way. A big question mark over that. That's what politicians are really struggling with right now. What's the most correct way to handle that issue, right? Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just if the baby's too young, make the parents decide whether it stays or goes with them, and if it's old enough to make a decision, so that choose where it wants to stay or go.
Right. Well, it's just an issue because you can't take away parents from a child, right? And your point is that, are you saying that the parents should have the choice to stay if they want because they have their child?
No, they should have the choice to take their kid with them or leave their kid.
Okay, without them being there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's their choice to take them with them.
Right.
If they don't want to take them back with them, they could go to them.
Well, and let's say I'm playing devil's advocate to what Reese is saying. I can make the argument that why should our U.S. government be paying money, and why should I as a taxpayer be paying money to support a child whose parents weren't responsible enough to get their own citizenship, right? If I'm going to play devil's advocate, that's my argument against that.
We take care of kids that are kids that parents were responsible to not put them up for adoption all the time.
So
Which,
Reese's devil's advocate back to my statement would be, yeah, there's parents that are U.S. citizens that don't take care of their children that we have to deal with all the time. So what's the big difference, right? I can see both sides of the argument, and that's why it's an issue. If it was a simple fix, it would be solved already. But the issue is there's really no simple way to solve it. So yeah, that's good. It's good that you can see this back and forth because you can see both sides. So it's important to know with these definitions, all native borns are natural born. That's an easy case because natural born, you can either be born outside the U.S. with one citizenship parent, or simply you're just born on U.S. soil and you're natural born. But not all natural born are native born. You have to understand the difference there. Like I said, Gabby could be a natural born citizen if one of her parents was a U.S. citizen. And if she was born in Spain, that means she would be natural born, but not native born. Because she's not born on U.S. soil. So make sure you have that down as well. A little bit confusing. It's kind of like there's some math equations that are kind of the same way. Like have you guys heard the what is it? A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square, or something like that. Does anyone know that? Is that what it is, Mac? Okay. Because a square has to have 90-degree angles, but a rectangle can be any four-sided shape or whatever the thing is. So kind of like a math definition. Okay. Issues. I've already kind of previewed this a little bit. What is wrong with this situation? Seems pretty easy, pretty simple. Natural born has never been defined by the Supreme Court, and it's never written in the Constitution. We should know so far that basically our government follows the Constitution step by step. Even the oath of office. Every little word has to be said exactly right, otherwise the president may be deemed improper, right? Everything has to be followed to a T. So when the most defining feature of the president says he has to be natural born, you would think that that would be defined at some point. Like, the president must be natural born. Here's what natural born citizenship means. But it doesn't say that at all. Natural born is kind of like an old definition. We don't really use that term anymore. So sometimes people question, what does it exactly mean? And let's say someone was born on foreign soil, could we potentially like bring this up and go, well, natural born means, in my opinion, that he should be born on U.S. soil, or she should be born on U.S. soil. So maybe that candidate is deemed improper, right? It's never been defined by the Supreme Court or the Constitution. So, kind of scary, right? Questionable cases. So there's been times, and it will continue to happen until someone that is born on foreign soil gets elected. We're going to have questions every single time this comes up. People like John McCain. Anyone know anything about where John McCain was born?
I know Barack Obama.
John McCain. I didn't know this one either. I had to actually look this one up. I didn't know that he was born in any foreign soil. No, not Australia.
Well, is that him? No, that's Ted Cruz.
No, that's Ted Cruz. So John McCain, you will know this a little bit if you know about John McCain's background. What was he kind of known for before he was a politician? Yeah, he was in the war. Yep, he was in. I don't know if he was in Vietnam. I think he was in Vietnam too. He was a pilot or something. He grew up in a military family, and he was actually born in Panama. His mother and father were on a U.S. base, which technically isn't U.S. soil. It's U.S. property on international soil. He was born on a U.S. base in Panama when he was a kid. His dad was in the military. I don't know when it sucked, but. So there's question marks when he was running for president, even though he was born on a military base in Panama, is he natural born? And you know what? What are the types of people that would question that? So if John McCain is running for president, who are the people that are going to be like, he's not natural born, there's no way? What kinds of people? The other side, right? Now whether it's Democrats or Republicans, it doesn't matter, right? But the other side is always going to look for things to call him out on. And that was a good one, right? Democrats are going to be like, well, how can John McCain even be president? He was born on foreign soil. He's not natural born. Because it's never been defined by the Constitution. And until someone wins that is questionable, it won't get brought up. No one has the guts to bring it up until the right time, right? Bring it up to the Supreme Court. How about Ted Cruz? Anyone know where he was born? Nope. Cuba. The last name is deceiving on this one. Don't use Cruz as your basis for where he was born. Nope. You're really going for that one. Not Spain.
Right? What's the country start with?
Starts with a C.
Cuba.
It's close to us.
Or Rock.
Costa Rica.
Canada. Despite Cruz being his last name, and that may be leading some of you to say like Mexico or Cuba, right? He was born in Canada. He has his father is Mexican. Mother was American, born in Canada. This guy's got North American blood in all different ways, right? Mexican father, American mother, born in Canada. Little interesting. That's not very common for most people, but it happens, right? So, obviously he carries Cruz as his last name, because his dad was Mexican, but he was born in Canada. His mother was a citizen, so what does that make him? Technically, by the definition we've just kind of assumed. Not native, he wasn't born on U.S. soil, he's natural, right? Based on the definitions we understand today, he's natural. Now, like I said, they have not been defined by the Constitution or the Supreme Court. So, when Ted Cruz was running for president, people, again, there was little rumors here and there, should he be allowed to be president because he was born in Canada, right? Is he natural born? I don't know.
He lived in Canada.
Yeah, he was, I don't know, his family still lived there. No, his family lived there. Yeah, so he spent some time there first. What about Barack Obama?
Hawaii or something?
This is the most recent issue that you guys may have heard of, your parents may have been talking about it. It wasn't all that long ago, right? Yeah, Katie.
Dominican Republic.
No.
What did you guys look at?
Hawaii.
Yeah, it's Hawaii.
He was born in Hawaii, right? But for a long time, people literally just kept saying either that people were crazy. People thought that he was born in Africa.
Oh, that's
People,
racist.
no, and it was a little bit racist, right? Why is that the assumption? But people thought he was born in the Middle East. People thought he was born in Cuba. No one knew where he was born at, and basically it came down to the point where he had to release his birth certificate to make people prove, just to say, I was born in Hawaii, right? which was a U.S. state. But here's the deal. It was very recently a state at this time. And actually, his mother wasn't technically a U.S. citizen because she was from Hawaii, and Hawaii wasn't a state yet at that time when she was born. So there was a lot of weird question marks about Obama because there was a period of time, if you were born in this window, you were not technically natural born because Hawaii wasn't yet cleared for citizenship. It was super weird. You guys, if you're in the Obama group, I'm going to have you guys read a little bit about these people. You're going to have time to break down this kind of confusing thing a little bit, and you're going to explain it to everybody else. Yeah, Zach.
Hawaii became a state in 1959.
Yes, exactly.
When was he born?
1 through 3, all the readings are on Classroom, so you will need your Chromebook today. If you need to get it, I'll let you go in a minute. But group number 1 is going to read John McCain. So the article is on Classroom about John McCain. You're just going to read. It's very brief. It's pretty short. Group number 2 is going to read about Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz, born in Canada, right? You're going to read about that. And group number 3 is going to read about Barack Obama. So you're going to read about Obama, try to decipher that a little bit. You're going to read this individually for about 15-ish minutes, maybe less. And then about at 8:40, so maybe about 13 minutes, 8:40, you're going to get together with everyone else who reads in your group. And you're just going to be like, okay, what did you guys get from this? Do you understand it? At the very end of class, you're just going to briefly share what you read to the rest of everybody, just so we can understand it. Some of it's kind of interesting. Also, I put the link on here. This guy, Noah Feldman, has a really good opinion about natural-born citizenship and the president. He has this new opinion that a lot of people are like taking notice of. You're going to read that as well. So you're going to read your one case, and you're going to read this guy's opinion. This link is on Classroom 2. It's called like Feldman natural-born opinion or whatever. So that's it. And at the very end, you're going to do a little reflection for your exit ticket, and that's all. That's it. So okay, I'm going to give you guys a number 1 through 3. Let's go. 1.